One thing I've always hated during growing up was the education. I hated the educational system. I hated the institutions. I hated being told what to do, essentially. I was just a nonconformist from the very, very beginning. And that was quite annoying for me and for everybody else involved, I'm sure. But, and I still feel that way quite deeply. It's quite rooted. But there's a quote from Einstein that essentially says, it says, word for word, the only thing in the way of my learning is my education. And that exactly sums up how I feel about the world of academia and education. And anything you want to learn is on the internet. Anything you want to know is on the internet. And if it's not on the internet, it's on the dark web, okay? You can figure it out by whatever means you want. And I think that's one of the best things that society has ever came up with. And yet nobody is really taking it on. People are so stuck these days and they don't realize that there's so much out there. There's so much strife, there's so much polarity in the world right now, but realistically, the amount of information that's out there these days is just insurmountable. So, while all the knowledge is out there, what do you do with it? You got to figure out how to think. You got to think about, well, is this true? Is this how this works? You got to establish a little bit of critical thinking skills. And unfortunately, the educational system doesn't ever do that up until maybe when you get to university. When you get to university, I think there is a little bit more critical thinking involved because you have to question everything that you did know, at least in maths and the STEM subjects. I know in maths you have to question everything. You have to boil it down to its definitions and make arguments out of that. It's borderline philosophy. I wish I did study philosophy whenever I was in university, to be honest, but I knew that I probably wasn't going to get a job out of that, so I done maths instead, which was, the next best thing. Probably the best thing, I'd still argue. Maths is cool, okay? So, whatever you may say. Yeah, I hate education, but I love learning. That's essentially what I've come to the conclusion to.